Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome to Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. On today's episode, we got some call-ups galore, allegedly, probably because there are a bunch of random-ass title changes on NXT this week. Of course, we're going to be dropping our NXT review and our AEW review now that we are officially on the road to All In. Plus, we're going to talk about what you guys want us to talk about. But first, let's talk about some call-ups, Larson, because it seems, given what happened on NXT this week, that people are getting called up. And sure enough, there seems to be a little bit of fire where there's some smoke. Perhaps.
Indeed. So, of course, following Stephanie Vaquer's fairly shocking NXT Women's title loss, and also Ricky Starks kind of surprisingly losing North American title to Ethan Page on this week's edition of NXT. There's been a lot of speculation about call-ups, about Ricky, about Stephanie wrapping up their time in NXT and heading to main roster.
Yeah.
At least as it relates to Stephanie. Corey Hayes of PW Nexus reported on Twitter that Vaquer was expected to join the Raw roster, while her Battleground opponent, Jordynne Grace, expected to be heading to SmackDown.
Interesting.
So PW Insider adds that Vaquer is expected to join the main roster following Worlds Collide. That, of course, is happening on June 7th, I believe.
Correct. Same day as Money in the Bank.
Yes, precedes it. On YouTube.
On YouTube. Yeah.
On YouTube.
Look, stacked looking card so far, too.
Yeah, it is. It is. So on the most recent edition of Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez added some more details. These transcripts come to you from Wrestle Talk. So we had to say, quote, "Here's what I can tell you. Ricky Saints, Stephanie, and Jordynne, I was told all three, I don't know how much, I was told all three of them had larger than normal NXT contracts. The NXT contracts are usually not very lucrative, but I was told all three of them had a bigger than normal NXT contract, and people that have deals like that don't end up in developmental all that long. So that, combined with the fact that a month ago I was told there was a decent chance there was going to be a draft this past weekend when they were running those 4 shows in Tampa, because it's close enough to Orlando. The feeling was there was probably going to be a draft this past weekend. It didn't happen, but you can see that they wrote out a lot of people this same weekend. So I'm pretty sure those 3 are going up."
So it seems like with and this is something we had speculated on, what was it, late last year when they were doing the transfer window thing? Yeah. Was that this year or last year?
Early this year, I think.
Earlier this year? Okay.
Yeah.
It still feels like 2025 is new, but we're midway through. So
yeah, we're about halfway through.
What are you going to do? When they did the transfer window thing, we had speculated that maybe that would be kind of a soft version of the draft. Everybody complains about the draft because the draft usually is kind of underwhelming in execution. And so it seems like maybe they just got rid of it for now and did this transfer window thing because they wanted to shift some pieces around. Most notably, of course, Drew McIntyre moved from Raw to SmackDown as the Damian Priest. And so, I wonder if just they're happy with the pieces where they are, except when it comes to NXT, because NXT is one component of the draft, but it's not everything, obviously. The roster movement, the main roster movement, is probably the main component of it. And if they're happy with where people are, which I can understand why they would be, if you take a look at all the pieces on main roster, I don't know that there's a lot of necessary swaps that really need to happen.
No.
So, I understand why they would be okay with that, why they wouldn't need a draft, and they would simply do some call-ups. We've already seen this with Julia and Roxanne Perez. And it seems that Ricky Saints, Jordynne Grace, and Stephanie Vaquer are all getting the call-up. Kind of figured that they'd probably get a better contract than just your typical NXT one in the first place, given the nature of how they all moved to WWE.
Yeah, especially in the case of Jordynne Grace and Ricky Saints. They had established their brands pretty well on American wrestling television already to a degree. I was surprised that they both went to NXT, but it seems like this is a situation where, Mania plans are locked in. Not a whole lot of wiggle room in terms of getting them involved on TV, especially with area like Penta and Rey Fenix coming to the main roster right before WrestleMania, or signing with WWE right before WrestleMania. That the idea was, all right, let's put them in NXT for a spell, for a few months, have them in some high-profile matches, win some titles, and then bring them right up the next opportunity there is.
Yeah.
Seems to be the case. I wonder if this will be the situation going forward where the high-profile free agent signings, like Vaquer, Julia, Ricky Saints, Jordan Grace, are going to be in NXT for much shorter periods of time as opposed to how things went from like 2016 to 2020. Where essentially people are getting signed. They'll go to NXT for a cup of coffee, and the next opportunity, next kind of storytelling cycle on main roster, you bring them in to start incorporating them into main roster stories.
Yeah, it's this has been probably the best case study because we had speculated on, okay, so how are they going to approach this? Stephanie is hugely popular. And when she had her appearances on Raw, it was like, oh, the crowd knows who she is. They immediately love her. And so they're not going to use her to anchor NXT. I wonder if, given the value proposition for NXT and the CW, they paid peanuts for it, comparable to, what other properties are getting.
Yeah.
I wonder if if the NXT brand and what NXT sort of gives is kind of enough, and you don't need, big names that come in as free agents to anchor it. They can anchor it with the homegrown stars that are going to be in NXT for a little bit longer.
Oh, I wonder at this point, we hear anecdotally from comments from friendos that NXT is their, if not their favorite show, one of their favorite shows on a weekly basis.
Oh, yeah, we hear that.
And I think it has to do with the approach with which Shawn Michaels and his creative team write the show. Mm-hmm. I think NXT has its own narrative language in terms of how they construct stories. They're usually pretty short term. It's very comparable to NXT UK in that respect, where literally people will have an interaction backstage, bang, match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Very rarely are there long-term stories, because in situations like this where, all right, you think you're going to have Stephanie Vaquer potentially for a while, and then, 3 weeks prior to her seeming call-up, she gets into a thing with Fatal Influence, which you think, oh, this is just kind of a side story. No, this is them, laying the groundwork for the story of Stephanie losing this title.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it's the nature of NXT where I don't think Shawn Michaels can invest 6, 8, 12 months and try to tell a story, because 2 months into it, someone can get called up.
Yeah.
And so I think some people appreciate that approach to storytelling because it's focusing very much on moments and characters on a week-to-week basis.
I also noticed I did like a WrestleJuice Q&A thing yesterday. And in the comment, I talked about NXT a little bit. And in the comments, there were quite a few people who were like, no, yeah, the shock title change is great, which it can be. It absolutely can be. I wasn't like a huge fan of the Vaquer one, just because I feel like there are more names in NXT that probably would have been a bit more. I think they could have approached it in a better way, but whatever. We'll talk about that when we talk about NXT. But yeah, it's the thing about NXT is it's a promotion not bogged down by history. And you can look at main roster, and the one thing that WWE has going for it is so much of who we see on television has a lot of history in the company already. And so they're able to mine the past, and they're there. Now the journey is how are you going to get from, the bottom card of SmackDown to the top card of SmackDown. And NXT doesn't have that. It's constantly churning through people, and sometimes people just disappear. And sometimes they'll make it all the way to the top. Sometimes they'll stagnate. So it is. I mean, I understand that it can be an interesting thing to watch. Number one, what you're talking about, stories that you don't have to sit there for 12 months to digest. You get this shit in a couple months because there's always the threat of they're going to get called up. So I can understand how especially in this day and age, I can understand how there is an appeal to that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it reflects in the viewership of the show. The ratings, whenever I see them every week, they always seem to be pretty good.
Yeah.
It feels like they kind of number one, they definitely outperform what they're paying, what CW is paying.
Oh yeah.
They have to be ecstatic about these numbers.
Yeah, I would think so.
So yeah, does it make for moments that are like, what the hell happened here? But a lot of people like the what the hell happened here. And I'm a fan of what the hell happened here sometimes.
Sometimes,
But I'm also a fan of the stories that, are given the time to breathe. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So let's say Vaquer goes to Raw, like the report says here, and then I think Ricky and Jordan go to SmackDown.
There was, at least in what we talked about earlier, there wasn't any reporting about where Ricky might go.
Oh, Jordan goes to SmackDown. Yeah. Do you like those positions for Jordan and Stephanie, and where would you send Ricky?
I like Jordan going to SmackDown because I think Jordan versus Charlotte is a huge money feud that they need to do as soon as they can put that story together.
The power wrestlers, you have Nia, you have Jade, and Jordan fits in like a glove there.
Yeah.
And Jordan is very, it is remarkable. They did the whole video package last week in the lead to Battleground. And Jordan's presentation has undergone, I don't know if she's working with somebody or if she puts this stuff herself, which wouldn't surprise me if she was responsible for her entire presentation. But my goodness gracious, I can't think of anybody who did a better job outside of WWE glowing themselves up than Jordan Grace. She showed up looking like, and even the last 2 years in TNA, she has shown up looking like she is fit to be not just a wrestler on SmackDown or Raw, but the wrestler on SmackDown or Raw. And so I think she fits in for some reason. SmackDown's like a brighter, cleaner show than Raw. And so she fits in so perfect there.
Another reason that she fits very well on SmackDown, she's got a history with Naomi.
True. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then Vaquer on Raw. She's been on Raw a couple times. Looked like she fit perfect, not just because she's got a lot of red in her presentation, but that kind of helps. But it just fits. It just fits really well there. You look at how she interacted with, with Io, with Rhea. It just fits so well. Yeah. And there's something about that presentation that a little darker, a little gothier maybe. And you look at that on Raw and it's like, oh, that just from a presentation standpoint, that fits really well.
Yeah.
I think Ricky should go to SmackDown, man. I think he'd fit in there. And honestly, I was thinking this when I was watching him and Ethan Page. I'm like, damn, if they made Ricky like a bad guy, him and Ethan could have been a killer tag team on main roster if they wanted to beef up the tag division. That'd probably be on Raw because SmackDown's tag division is already pretty loaded.
Yeah.
But Ricky's got a ton of history with Cody, obviously.
Yeah.
And like in real life. And I don't know. I also see Ricky sort of presentation wise as more of a SmackDown guy.
I understand all that. And there's some potentially interesting feuds there for him on SmackDown, but I guess I would maybe argue that at least short term, the path to him achieving some measure of single success, by that I mean a mid-card title short term, the path seems easier on Raw as opposed to SmackDown. Jacob Fatu is going to have that U.S. title for a little bit.
Man, I don't know, only because they might make him the heir to the world title guy.
That could be
sooner than later.
That could be, but I would expect that not to really happen till next year after the Cena story is finished unfolding. So if you assume, all right, Jacob Fatu is probably going to hold that U.S. title for the rest of 2025, you can't really make the same statement about Dom holding the Intercontinental title the rest of the year.
You can't, and I know both divisions are, like, in terms of the upper mid-card for the men, Raw is pretty loaded. I mean, so is SmackDown for the U.S. title. But Raw is pretty loaded, which also means there's a lot of people there for him to work with, for them to craft stories around. So yeah, I mean, over on the SmackDown side of things, you got LA Knight, you got, like you said, Jacob, you got the rest of the Bloodline Solo. There's obviously people on Raw as well with Seth's group with his guys, Braun and Braun. And then of course Rusev, Sheamus, Ilya when he comes back, who knows where he's going to be. Penta,
Finn's kind of on the bottom tier of the mid-card, upper mid-card guys because he takes L's all the time, but he's still there.
I mean, he won like 2 weeks ago.
But then he lost.
He was in the main event.
But he just lost in the main event this past week.
In the main event, though.
He took the pin, though.
I don't know where this disrespect for my guy comes from, but
I was literally wearing a Finn Balor shirt earlier today.
And then you took it off, didn't you?
Because I was working out and it got all sweaty.
Oh, so it's relegated to a gym shirt now. Interesting.
Yeah, that's inspiration to get the Balor bot. Get those.
Well,
abs,
yeah, man, absolutely. Now I can feel like you're trying to channel the Balor bot.
Exactly.
So yeah, a lot of options there for Ricky Saints. Either way you go. So yeah, I kind of want that guy to be a bad guy again, though.
Yeah, me too.
If not a bad guy, an arrogant piece of shit. He's so good as an arrogant dude, you know. And you could be a good guy being arrogant.
Yeah, they gotta give him a monthly budget to go make some shorts too, some short films.
Oh, I thought you meant to craft some shorts.
Well, some shorts if he wants some shorts.
Make some actual short films. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be cool too.
Whoever he does that, they're great.
Speaking of great, I won predictions this month, and my Coronation of Greatness, which I just came up with that name, the Coronation of Greatness for Steve here, is happening tomorrow. Are you excited about this? You get to hear my speech? You can sit right here for my speech.
I assume it's going to be like Jordan's Hall of Fame speech, just putting everybody on blast.
That is going to feel like a walk in the park. That's going to be just the most his speech, the most joyous occasion compared to what I have. The venom that I've written down in this speech.
I would hope that you would say, "Hey, Larson, thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself."
Why would I say that?
Because it's the truth.
That is actually kind of true. Although, I don't know if I really believe the sincerity with which you were saying you believed in me.
1,000%.
I feel like you were simply trying to compare and contrast the fact that you won to the fact that I miserably always don't win, but that I did win.
Then you did win, and I was happy for you because I believed in you.
Despite your fake belief in me.
No, I believed in you.
Does 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific work for you tomorrow?
Well, we got to let's do noon because we got some things to do in the morning at probably 10, and I got to get them up.
Okay, cool.
We got to react to some Meltzer ratings for Friendo Club Wrestling.
Oh, that's right. Who's in the hot seat tomorrow?
Well, there's two shows we can do. I would be in the hot seat for Saturday night's main event. You'd be in the hot seat for Double or Nothing.
Oh, wow. I get the AEW show? Nice.
Yeah, I get the longer one.
I'll just, put the numbers 4, 4.5, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, and 5 into a hat.
Start drawing.
Start drawing.
You should do it that way.
That's what it's going to be. Yeah. So anyways, that's going to go down tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. So be sure to tune in for that here at YouTube and, of course, also on our Twitch channel at the same time. So that should be a lot of fun. Larson's going to put a shirt on me, and he's going to put this hat on me. Where's that hat? Here it is. There's the hat. Anyways, and then also, of course, coming up in June, we've got, and this, look, I usually like when the Predictions Challenge starts a little deeper into the month, but June 7th is the date for the first event in the June Predictions Challenge. And this, dude, honestly, if I've ever been motivated by a hat, this is the hat right here. I'm not usually very impressed with my own work. This time, this is an awesome looking hat.
It's a good hat.
And not only do you get the hat, if you win the Friendo in the Bank, you get the Friendo in the Bank attaché case, which is a wonderful little piece of craft that I did.
You win predictions, and now you start putting yourself over left and right, don't you?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Look at this. Well, you're not looking. You can't see it right now.
I can't see it right now. I know what it looks like. It's a good-looking hat.
Dude, this is really good design work right here. Hey, good job, Steve. Anyways, if you want in on the June Predictions Challenge for Money in the Bank, you get the Money in the Bank, which, for those who don't know, the attaché case will have a ton of numbers in it. And those are numbers that are bonus points every time you do predictions for the next year. You can opt to cash in. But there's also a guaranteed win in the briefcase. So there's the potential for you to cash in and win.
There's also a 0 in there.
There's also a 0, so you get nothing.
Yep.
A big old failure. And in fact, last time we had 2 cash-ins on the same day.
Yeah.
And they were both failures. It was wild. Super wild. You did get a nice apple pie, though, that day.
It was a good apple pie. The hamburger left a little bit to be desired because I didn't get the spicy ketchup on. It didn't come with the spicy ketchup, even though I asked for it. But the apple pie was good.
How much longer did you have to cash in? I forget. I honestly forget the entire
month.
Scenario. Oh, you only had a month left. Okay.
Yeah, because it was May. Well, no, I won it because I won the G1, so I had more time, but I was within like 3 or 4
you were
points.
within striking. You were within like 3 points, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a smart cash in. That was
And then I got a
bad
goose egg.
draw.
I got the 0.
That was a bad draw. That was a really bad draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, you have the chance to try again. I'll be honest with you. I'll be super salty this time if you win this hat.
Really?
Because I want this hat so bad. I'm going to order it here in a little bit so that we have the one and I can show it to everybody. But I want this thing so bad. And if you end up winning it, I'll legitimately be upset. I'll probably throw something.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Your coronation might be a bloodbath.
Well,
if you win. Predictions.
Well, let's see if that happens.
So, yeah, we'll see if that happens. Click join right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson to join in on the predictions challenge, or go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Click on the Friendo Club setup. By the way, you do it. It's $5 a month. You get access to our bonus episodes as well, and access to the question threads for the Stephen Larson Pro Wrestling Podcast. Anyways,
Yes.
Let's go ahead and dive into what do you want us to talk about? That wasn't quite as smooth as how Cody does it. So I got a question. We got a question for the Friendos, Larson. What do you want us now to talk about the news?
What shall we now discuss?
Wow, that's terrible. Let's see what people want us to talk about. Pig Latin says, not wrestling related, but I was curious, where would be the best place to support you guys as a YouTuber? Patreon. Patreon gives us the biggest. So, like, the diplomatic answer is whatever you feel comfortable with. But all things considered, Patreon gives us the biggest cut of that moolah. So, Patreon, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
Dr. Howie Feltersnatch says WWE telling the crowds not to curse.
Yeah.
So apparently this was from Meltzer, I think. They were considering, you go to a WWE show and before it starts, they have the graphic up on the Tron, like, don't jump the barricade, don't throw shit in the ring. And apparently they might add one on there that says, don't cuss during the show.
Apparently they do.
Fightful said they already do this at NXT.
They do it at NXT. And I also noticed this, I want to say it was on Saturday night's main event when Priest left the cage and was walking up the ramp. I want to say it was there. They selectively blur things too. There was a bizarrely upset gentleman a couple rows deep by the entrance who's giving the old double middle fingers with the very...
They got to blur that out for network television. Yeah.
And they blurred it out. You just sort of see him do this and then it blurred and then it came back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on television. There's standards and practices.
Yeah.
At least for network.
Yeah. Well, there is for cable too.
And then, for cable, it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They differ though.
So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know, if it's one of those things where they put it up on the Tron. I guess it depends on what's the consequences if they catch you cursing. Like if 10,000 people are all chanting "Holy shit," they're not going to throw everybody out of the arena.
Stop the show. Wow. Everybody leave.
So, in NXT, banned. I understand there's 200 people there. That's far more enforceable.
Yeah.
Because you can probably hear every single conversation people are having during the course of the show. So if you hear one person starting the "Holy shit" chant, all right, you probably kick them out.
I'll be honest with you. I have less of a problem with people cursing. Like if they're like, holy shit. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either.
My bigger problem is when Hangman Adam Page is in the ring. And this always happens. Look, I'm not trying to stoke the flames of tribalism here. But sometimes AEW fans, I think they're too clever. Because there's always one person at an AEW show. Somebody's in there cutting a heartfelt promo like Page was on Wednesday. And the entire crowd is wrapped. He has them. And they want to hear this guy because he's their guy. Because AEW fans, boy, oh boy, they are into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one guy, and I don't even know what he was saying. But like every time he would pause, you'd hear a guy,
yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the larger issue is people trying to take the show over in the crowd.
And there's always, I swear to God, those AEW shows, there's always one person. The WWE shows are worse because you do a certain cadence. I don't care how popular you are. What?
Yeah.
And they were doing that to Swerve at AEW this week.
Yeah.
They started, like, a couple dudes started to what him. Shut the fuck. I honestly
still
can't
don't
stand
understand
that shit.
how, with all the technology at their disposal, WWE can't find a way to selectively, like, bring the crowd volume down if there's holy shit chants, as opposed to cutting the audio feed entirely.
Well, you can see it's funny because you're right, but like they do try to do certain things. Like you'll hear a and like if they'll start saying holy
They do
shit,
that, especially on AEW. They put it's sort of like when they have edited versions of songs on the radio, and they rather than
cut
change
my
the
life
lick.
into pieces. Wait, how does that? There's a fuck in there, isn't there? This is my no.
Is
Never
at the
mind.
end? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Don't give a
Yeah. Rather than change the word or bleep it or leave it, cut it out.
Yeah.
They just put like a sound effect in there.
Yeah. Don't give a cut my eye blue.
That's what they do on AEW. They just put like a like a
sound clip. Yeah,
like a little sound clip or something in their audio.
Yeah.
Crowd audio.
So I don't know. I get it. Whether or not it's going to be successful, I don't know. People are people. But yeah, I don't know if they start chanting "Holy shit," I don't know. That's not that egregious. That's just an indication that they really like what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it's when that one person tries to take the fucking thing over or be clever.
Yeah.
It's like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know.
So annoying.
Callum Kelly here says belief within AEW the pay-per-views are too long. This was from Alvarez, I think.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that one.
Yeah.
There might be a dude. There was like one guy who's like, God damn, I got to get home. I didn't know we were buying an overrun. I got to get home. It's like a camera guy or something or a writer. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's a fucking whole lot of nothing right there. The belief within AEW. One dude. It's like a company of hundreds. There's like one dude in there.
Well, the way Alvarez said it, he talked to everybody. And the only people that were cool with it were Tony Khan and like one other person.
Doesn't pass a sniff test me. What about you?
Well, the thing is, because I read the quote, and the belief was that people liked it when the show ended at midnight Eastern. So just a half hour earlier,
Well, yeah, they bought the half hour overrun.
Yeah,
thing.
so the 4-hour show apparently is fine. It's the extra half hour that makes it too long.
I mean, dude, look, honestly, the way we do it these days, I'm not going to bitch about it because you and I had a terrific time sitting on the couch, and this is what AEW does. $50, they're asking people to plunk. They're asking people to put down too much money, but it's successful. So, what are the AEW's going to try to separate fans from their money, just like WWE does. But yeah, I don't know. I'm done bitching about that. And the people on the inside, I don't think this is I'd be shocked if this was like a significant portion of the people in AEW.
I was being tongue-in-cheek when Alvarez says he was basically talking to everybody, obviously.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
He's made it seem like it was a large sample size of people who carried this sentiment, and it was just a handful who did not.
Man, how many people do you think talk to that guy?
I don't know.
A small handful.
Yeah, probably. Lord Blake Whitehouse here. Steve, you'll like this one. Says, cool. Bully Ray saying there's a lack of star power at WWE. That's your dude. Bully Ray is your dude, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you agree with him?
Well, yeah, because he's not there. That solves that problem. Problem fixed.
Let me ask
Put Bubba
you this.
Ray back in there.
Did his presence and impact and his feud with Tommy Dreamer specifically? I'm not talking about, in 2001. I'm talking in 2023, 2024.
Yeah, well, Tommy Dreamer's ratings suck. Like, he ain't, people tune out.
But come on, Bully Ray's there.
Yeah, but Tommy Dreamer's such a rating suck.
Shouldn't Bully Ray's star power, but based on your argument, trump all?
Well, yeah, he's like their Brock Lesnar. He's a big deal. So, but then he got Tommy Dreamer there, who's a black hole of ratings. Like, he just shows up and people are like, bleh! They just start instantly projectile vomiting. No, I'm joking about the whole thing. So I don't know. What was the quote, man?
This is the quote. I have the quote.
Oh, good.
Where was this? I imagine this on Busted Open.
Can you do your best Bubba Ray?
No. I'm not the impressions guy. That's you. He said this: I have a different opinion on overall what is going on in pro wrestling. In my opinion, what is going overall is considerably more important than what is in each individual company. There is something going on in the wrestling business right now, and I think that's major lack of star power. Nobody feels that they are the guy. Nobody feels like they are the girl. They have guys and gals who are getting the job done, who are main eventers, who are turning in main event matches and performances. But I don't believe in any one company going, that's the guy, that's the girl, that's the megastar, even with the return of Cody.
Man, I find it really difficult to believe that one, man. I don't agree with that.
No.
Bubba, he's a legend and everything, and but I don't buy that. I don't think you can look, and this is one thing where I think you can look at the metrics, and you can look at the business and how well it's doing, and say, yeah, they got a lot of star power. There was a hot take. I don't remember if it's in ours or over at WrestleJuice, but saying I didn't use it, but I agreed with it. And it was somebody said, I don't think there's been a time since the Attitude Era where so many people were over to the extent that they are now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's entirely true. I think if you look at the problem they had with WrestleMania in terms of what's going to main event now they have 2 nights. They have 2 opportunities to main event. And there were still hella matches that could have main evented. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that Cody is the guy, but then you also got Punk as the guy, and you got
Roman still
Roman
too.
Is the guy.
Yep, you got Rhea.
Cena right now is the guy.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you look at the women's division.
You got Rhea, Bianca. A lot of names. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to say that's true.
Yeah, I don't mean, obviously with the way entertainment is consumed these days and the variety of options people have for entertainment, it's apples and oranges compared to the Attitude Era when you had, even on cable, you had 50 channels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You didn't have 500 channels plus 25 streaming networks, streaming platforms, all with original content. It's different.
It is different.
So, you're not going to have someone from WWE probably on the cover of TV Guide, if TV Guide's still even a thing these days.
You'll have people that I don't know who they are because it's so much more segmented these days. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I know there was a spell. I don't know if it's still that way, but I feel like most of TV Guide was taken up by, stars from The Bachelor or Dancing with the Stars or, stuff like that, which... Yeah. I think pulls in pretty big ratings, but I don't watch that. And I don't know anybody who watches that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
So.
Straw Hat Jose here says, Metro Boomin tweeted about wanting to produce some themes for some wrestlers.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Sign him up immediately.
If there is anybody that's high profile and popular music that is interested in composing and producing themes for pro wrestlers, you do it.
You want to get more of that. More high-profile stars to do custom themes. Yeah, if you had that opportunity, do it.
It's pretty cool that they got Adam Jones from Tool to record. I think it's at least guitar for Pentas, but he might have done the guitars Phoenixes as well.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who did the vocals on. Who's the LFG guy that just won?
Jasper Troy.
Jasper Troy. I liked his theme. I thought that shit went hard this week. I was like, oh, that's cool. And it's got lyrics. Mm-hmm. I was cool with that. I thought that was good.
Yeah, you like lyrics and themes.
I think that lyrics add a lot to themes, yeah.
Then Mr. Enlightened here says, John Laurinaitis, removed from Janelle Grant's lawsuit, will cooperate in the WWE case.
That is bad news for Vince. When I saw that, I was pretty shocked. That's bad news for Vince. Yep. I think Vince will get pardoned they'll drop the case. I think the feds are going to drop the case. But in terms of the lawsuit aspect of things, that's bad news for him. Yeah. Really bad news.
Yep.
But yeah, given that his wife or ex-wife, are they still together or are they divorced?
I don't think they ever got divorced.
But they're separated probably.
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
given his proximity to Trump, given his proximity to, Linda McMahon, obviously, I think if the feds have it, which is horrible, which is absolutely horrible, but I think that he'll probably end up getting a pardon of some sort.
If
that case ever picks up.
Yeah.
But in terms of law,
it's already been dropped.
When did that happen?
This is in February. That's according to Vince's lawyer, though.
Well, yeah, Vince's lawyer said, but I didn't know if they're still proceeding with the investigation. Vince's lawyer just said, yeah, this means that everything's good.
Well, it says, here, I'll look into it some more.
But yeah, I'd be shocked if they continue to investigate.
Oh, it was because it was the SEC complaint.
Okay.
That was settled. That's what it was.
All right.
That's what it was.
Was it ever confirmed that one of the, because I don't know, it's there's always something different. Was it ever confirmed that the feds were investigating for for trafficking? Or you don't know?
I don't recall offhand.
Okay. All right. Well, we can look into that. In any event, yeah, the fact that if John Laurinaitis is going to help with that, that dude is probably going to have like a mountain of evidence. Mm-hmm. You would think.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, that's bad news for Vince right there. Anyways, because we started talking about NXT and the call-ups, why don't we go ahead and talk about NXT?
Yeah,
first?
we'll lead with NXT today.
All right, sounds good for the
So,
NXT
of course,
fans. They're eating good.
They are. It's strange though, the timing of it all, given that we just had a PLE on Sunday, and no title changes there? I don't think. No, I mean Trick won the TNA title. I guess no NXT titles change hands.
Yeah, right.
Battleground, and then you have 2 on the following show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as mentioned, Stephanie Vaquer lost her title, as did Ricky Saints. Those 2 matches bookended the show.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I tripping? Wasn't the North American title match between Ricky and Ethan at some point scheduled for Worlds Collide?
No, because they booked the Worlds Collide North American title match on NXT. No, when it was booked, it was going to be this Tuesday.
Okay, God, I swear to God, I thought I was weird because okay. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's sort of a situation where it's like, hey, you know what? Who knows when we're going to have another opportunity to do Stephanie versus Jordan? Even if they knew in advance, like a week in advance, we're not sure we're going to have another opportunity to do this match, especially if they're going to different brands, and given a lot of time for it. Let's just do this. Stephanie retains, and then we'll do the title change. JC's been around for a while, and obviously HBK likes Fatal Influence. So this does open up a lot of stories, and I think it's great for JC. I really do. The crowd was incredibly confused, and yeah, they had already lost a lot to her, and they did this ruse where, oh, we're not on the same page, and then it was clear by the finish that they were totally on the same page, and they're all working in unison. And if you look at the look on JC's face, it's like, oh man, that's awesome. That's great for her.
Yeah.
Again, though, from a broader story perspective, and getting a Stephanie Vaquer rub, I don't know that this is really like, the optimum situation.
Yeah, I know they spent a couple of weeks laying some of the groundwork, with JC and Fallon arguing about, oh, no, I'm going to be the one that beats Stephanie. No, I'm going to be the one that beats Stephanie. It still feels really hastily put together.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And if it was a longer story, which led to whether it's still a surprise title change or not, then maybe it wouldn't feel like that. And I'll say this, they at least leaned into the shock of the finish, because one of the first things they did was cut to Mike Rome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's shocked. And literally the timekeeper is like, hey, you have to announce the winner.
Well, I've noticed that. I noticed that it's kind of an interesting side note when WWE would post Samantha Irvin's reactions.
Yeah.
She would always look off to the side, and the timekeeper gets the info. They have it confirmed from the back. Okay, now go ahead and do it. And so she would always look over and be like, okay. And so I don't know. It's just a little thing that I picked up on. So they always tell him, okay, go ahead and do the thing.
Yeah. But
in case there's shenanigans. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
even the timekeeper was like, and then he hears in his ear, he's like, oh, wait, go ahead and do the thing.
And then when the timekeeper says it to Mike Rome, he has to snap out of it and announce the finish. So,
and they left with the credits on, a goofy ass fan in the crowd. Like, it was great. It was really something else.
In terms of really selling the shocking nature of the finish, they did a pretty good job of that.
How long do you think JC's going to be champion? I mean, the thing is, she has a crew with her that all two of which are going to be gunning for her, which could make for an interesting story. But it's also kind of like, to a degree, like, I don't know, like Indy, when Indy had the title. And it just sort of felt like, this is kind of a weak champion right now compared to what we just had.
You know, when I first, because you sent me the clip, because I hadn't watched NXT yet, and when I first saw that, my first thought was, and that was Tuesday night. Stephanie's getting called up. They didn't want at Battleground the face versus face match leading to a title change. They're having JC beat Stephanie for Jordan to beat her at some point this summer. But now with Jordan getting apparently called up, obviously that's not the case.
I just figured as soon as I saw JC, I was like, oh, so they didn't do Jordan, so they're gonna have her get called up. And then that ended up being the case. So like, I don't know, I guess like you said, they were setting this up. So who takes the title off JC? Is it somebody in Fatal Influence? They seem to like Fallon too.
Yeah. I don't know, because in one sense, you look at the names of people getting called up from the women's division, and it's like the very top: Jordan, Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie. You know, but still, you have like Zarya, who's, I know she's in a story with Sol Ruka trying to kind of be in her shield, to keep her as North American champion, but like she could be doing a lot more.
I think you sort of trade those titles off. I think Sol is the person. I think Sol is the one to take that. I mean, that girl has got probably the most natural like charisma, and in such an understated way. I've made this comparison before, but she just reminds me of RVD to an extent in terms of like her presentation. You know, it's like obviously there's the superficial, how they're both kind of like laid back, whatever. But also like she doesn't have to drop a super charismatic promo for her charisma to just completely explode through the camera. And then on top of that, she does the cool shit in the ring.
Yeah.
To me, she's like the top of the power rankings in terms of who can take that title off JC if we're going to go with the face.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they could make her a face within Fatal Influence and have Fallon, either jump her out or be the person to take that title off her. But I kind of feel like if they're going to do that story, JC's going to be the face and she's just going to end up winning.
Yeah, probably. I guess we could talk about the list of people getting called up, and yet Ethan Page not being seemingly on that list since he just won the North American Championship.
Mr. NXT.
I would think if they're signing high-profile free agents to bring him in NXT for short windows till the storytelling cycle on main is reached the point where they can bring him up, that Ethan Page would be one of those people too.
They signed him to like $25,000 a year.
Yeah, apparently maybe he got the typical NXT deal.
Most value.
We'll get you $40,000 and we'll pay for your rent at that apartment complex that everybody lives at in NXT.
Yeah, right. But you're gonna have a roommate. And your roommate is all of Dark State. Like 5 dudes in that place just farting the entire place out. Saquon's in the bathroom again. It's a 1-bathroom apartment.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, man. Dark State. But Dark State has their own bedroom. Just themselves, all 4 guys in one room.
Yeah.
Paige at least gets his own
his
room.
own bedroom. Oh, man.
Wow.
But like instantly, they booked him in a match at Worlds Collide with Javon Evans, Ray Phoenix, and Laredo Kid.
Right, yeah.
Which would be really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to retain there, right? That's why you do a fatal 4-way, so that the dude keeps his title.
Yeah.
A little bit surprised that Paige isn't getting called up. Like, if anything, you keep Ricky there and you call Paige up, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, I mean, you could call them both up.
Call them both up, yeah.
Have Javon beat Ricky for that title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, yeah. So I don't know. That is pretty interesting. Let's talk.
I guess it's a it's I don't know if it's highly likely, but it's a possibility that it'd be weird. They have Ethan beat Ricky for it, but they're still going to call up Ethan after Worlds Collide and have Javon win the title in the 4-way.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We'll know if Javon wins that title in the 4-way, we know that Paige is getting called up too.
Yeah.
No, I was kind of surprised by that as well. But I don't know, maybe they're still like, yeah, you got more time in developmental here. 40-year-old Ethan Page.
Yeah.
The 18-year veteran Ethan Page.
Yes. You got to have your run as Karate Man yet in NXT before you get called to main roster.
This dude is like one of the most polished guys in the entire WWE. Send Karate Man up, dude. What are you doing? Yeah, he needs his Karate Man cinematic before he leaves.
Yeah, before he gets called up. Well, let's talk about this, the main event match with Stephanie and JC. So we had a Fatal Influence interview backstage, and it's just Morris setting up that Fatal Influence is a mess because they just argue a bunch. Because Fallon's like, well, I should be the one facing Stephanie because JC, you already lost to her. And then it just ends with JC telling Fallon, well, if you want to be in my corner tonight, that's fine. If not, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
And before the match, Stephanie's prepping backstage, and Ava tells her, you got a match at Worlds Collide, but it's a tag match. You need a tag partner.
Mm-hmm.
So Lola Vice steps in. She says, I'll be your partner.
Yeah.
Then we get the match where Stephanie defends against JC in the main event. Again, Fatal Influence is acting like, just complete disarray. There's a spot where Stephanie knocks JC into Fallon. There's arguing. Both JC and Fallon push Jasmine. And then when Stephanie has JC in a cross arm breaker against the ropes, Jasmine distracts the ref, so then Fallon can do that thing where she kind of swings around the ring post and kicks Stephanie, puts Stephanie back in the ring, and then JC hits the rolling forearm to get the win.
Yep, and the crowd goes shocked. It's like when Bruno lost. And then, of course, like we said, Ethan Page won the North American title. Pretty straight up deal here, except it involved Ethan Page whipping Saint's throat off the ropes there. He did the thing.
Well, before that, it was a twisted grin on the bottom of the chair.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then Page hits Razor's Edge, snapped the top rope into his throat, and then hit another twisted grin in the middle of the ring. They made a big deal about it. All the trainers coming out there to check on Ricky, who was selling the throat.
He was like, he had the viscous saliva coming out of his mouth because he's like, I can't breathe.
So then later on, Page came to the ring for a promo, talking about being the greatest North American to hold the North American title, and he's not waiting to celebrate. Interrupted by Javon Evans. He was like, hey, guess what? That title's going to be defended against me at Worlds Collide. And then Page's like, what? You don't even deserve a shot. And he says, but it's not just about NXT. You're also facing Laredo Kid, who walks through the crowd. Says, I'm the most complete luchador you're ever going to see. He says, I'm coming for the North American title. And then Ray Phoenix shows up too. He says he's going to bring the fire and burn Page up. A little bit later on, Ava's watching with Stone and Legacy. Wasn't it Sean Legacy? Yeah, that's his name. And Stone says,
"Oh, sorry, it was Stone and Stevie.
Stevie
Legacy
Turner, yeah,
my bad."
So Stevie says, I was trying to remember this, and I was like, that didn't happen. Stevie Turner says Sean Legacy earned a North American title shot, and 3 other people are getting shot before him. Ava's like, yeah, man, this is a mess. I got call-ups galore. All this crazy shit's happening. But she says Legacy will get a one-on-one shot with whoever wins at Worlds Collide. So he'll lose that.
There you go. So Trick Williams at the top of the second hour comes to the ring to celebrate his TNA title win.
He also rebranded TNA now. He calls it Trick NA.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should really... Is he going to show up on NXT on TNA television?
I don't know, because he's booked in a title match next week on NXT television. Santana. So anyways, he says essentially, I run TNA now, essentially. He says none of the former champions, he listed off like AJ and Kurt Angle and Drew McIntyre. He says none of the previous TNA champions compare to him, especially Joe Hendry. He says, I'm turning my back on the people because they turned their back on me. I saw y'all singing along to that average Joe. He says, I'm going to TNA and talk to management, and we're going to make some changes. And he says, starting with the name, he's interrupted by Santana, who had a match earlier in the night. And he pretty much says, I'm not going to let you tear down TNA. We built a bunch of momentum. And Trick says, Santana, you don't know how things work because you've never been a champion. Says once you understand the weight of being champ, you get to call the shots. So then this all leads to Santana saying, I'm going to be the one that takes that title off you. Trick says, if you keep popping off, I'm going to take these lemon pepper steppers. Santana was poking fun at Trick's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And whoop your ass. So then Santino shows up on the Tron, and he says, I talked to Ava next week, TNA title match, Trick versus Santana on NXT television.
Yeah. Are people able? How do you watch TNA wrestling? Like their weekly show?
I think you have to. Do you have to subscribe to their deal?
Is it TNA Plus?
I think so.
Okay.
I think.
What's the TV channel they're on again?
Access.
Access. That's what it is.
Which I don't think either of us have access to.
Okay, so I got that YouTube TV gimmick.
Oh, then maybe you do.
I wonder if I have it on there.
You'll have to check.
Access. That's what I was thinking of. Access on YouTube.
It's just AXS, right? Is that what
AXS.
Yeah.
It's available through a live concert channel called Access TV Concerts. Okay. I don't know if that's the same thing, though. I'll find out at some point.
Look at their schedule.
I'll have to look at the schedule.
So we at Battleground we discovered the fate of Luca.
This was such an awkward fucking segment.
Was.
Luca was. It's funny because Luca was like trying to remember his lines. Number one, it was really poorly written. So sorry, it's a sit down thing between. It's a cinematic, a sit down between Tony D and Luca. They're in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
And Luca's like doing a really piss poor job explaining himself to Tony, and Tony, understandably, is like, I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody
like,
right now.
You're being hella suspicious right now, man.
You're being so suspect right now. He was like, you just came out. What was your... He was like, what was the point of coming out? You just stared at me.
And Luca Perez says, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. And then he tried to explain himself, and Tony's like, look, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
Just, stay out of my business, I think is how it was resolved. But it's just from a performance standpoint, Tony D's really good. Like, I think all the experience he's getting on that CW show, if it's out yet or if he's filmed it, I don't know, is really helping him. Like, he's really good at this stuff. Luca was trying to remember his lines.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that, like, I think the character himself was also supposed to be really sidestepping everything, really shifty.
Yeah. So it just ends with Tony saying, I don't know who I can trust right now. And Luca says, you can trust me, Tony.
What? No, you're really bad at like this whole thing that you're doing.
Yeah. So then I mentioned earlier, Santana had a match against Tavion Heights. Santana gets the win after hitting a discus clothesline. And later on backstage, NQCC are gathered, and Dempsey says to Bourne and Heights, hey, you tried to prove yourselves as singles wrestlers, and you failed. So now we need to refocus on strengthening the group. So Bourne's like, I'm not going backwards. I proved that I belonged under the bright lights of the premium live events against Oba, and I'm not going back into my shell.
Yeah.
And Dempsey's like, that's just your youth and inexperience talking. And Bourne says, well, how about this? How about what if I beat you? And if I win, you got to let me go. And Dempsey's like, fine, but only if it's a rounds match.
Does Dempsey have like some sort of contract on Miles Bourne here?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. It's a good question, though.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Access TV on now and upcoming. I see Women of Wrestling.
Yeah.
It literally has two shows on the... Oh, never mind. So there's something called Cash Cab Chicago. And there's Women of Wrestling.
Okay.
But like Women of Wrestling is on KMAX. Isn't KMAX Channel 31?
I don't know, man.
I don't know, dude. This is all kind of a mess, to be honest with you. Can you still get TNA on their YouTube channel?
No, I don't think they do that anymore.
That's a drag.
So as set up last week, Tatum Paxley had a match against Jada Parker. So to finish this one, sees Jada take one of Tatum's dolls, one with, orange hair, like Gigi Dolan, and throw it across the ring. So Tatum goes over and picks it up. It's like staring at it. And Jada hits her with Hypnotic to get the win. Afterwards, Thea Hale attacks Jada. Looks for a Kimura, but Jada escapes. So later on backstage, Tatum's walking, crying, wonders what she's going to do. Zarya and Sol Ruka step up and say, hey, we're there for you. If you need anything, let us know. All the while, the culling is listening on in the background.
Yeah, they make it pretty obvious that they're just hanging out stalking people.
Sean Spears is standing back there like this.
With his weird coat on.
Inamura's back.
Yeah, that was quick. Like, what was the whole point of him leaving?
I don't know, it had something to do with visas or something like that.
Oh, it could be.
Disgusting.
It could be. And then he got it sorted out. They should just say that then, you know.
I know.
He was like, Briggs, big trouble getting my visas, stick around. So I'm sorry. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But then, hey, the paperwork, I left it in the copy machine. It was the last page that I needed to turn in. They needed my actual signature. Couldn't do a copy of it.
Yeah. So anyways, they're in the locker room talking, and Inamura tells Briggs that he did go back to Japan, but came back because they have more things they need to accomplish. And Briggs is like, yeah, winning the tag titles. And Inamura is like, yeah, but there's more. Subtext is Inamura is there kind of to help Briggs, but more so because he's got singles pursuits that he wants to go after.
Yeah, that's the only way you can read this. There's no tag titles plus situation here. It's just the tag titles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, clearly. And Briggs is like, he's like, okay, cool, awesome. Like, why are you being so coy with me?
Yeah.
Just tell me straight up. What are you doing here?
We got introduced to Jasper Troy. He had a video package introducing himself ahead of his in-ring debut in NXT against Dante Chen. Troy gets the win with a boss man slam, and then Oba's music hits, and he's standing up on that elevated platform they have in the PC. It says, that was impressive. He says, I could have jumped you from behind and beat you like a thief, but I didn't do that. And he says, I hope you're enjoying your 5 seconds of fame because right now it's over.
Yeah, I really like this. I think it's a great way to debut Jasper Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And his theme song has lyrics, so that's good too. All right, so I'm going to see how much TNA Plus costs.
Okay.
Take a guess. How much do you think it costs?
$10 a month.
All right, let's see here.
Or $9.99.
Jesus
While you look
Christ.
at that, the last little bit from NXT here is Andre Chase is backstage talking to Uriah and Kale and tells them, you got to know when to take risks and when to sit back. And then they take that as meaning they need to take more risks. So they
just
go to
always
Ava.
take risks.
Yeah, they go to Ava and they're like, hey, we need to take more risks. We want another match. And Ava says, well, you get a tag match against a Dark State. And they're like, well, there's, 4 of them and only 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ava says, well, nope, it's going to be a 6-man tag, 3 members of Dark State against you 2 and Andre Chase.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then, if Dark State wins, then they get to take Ethan Page's other bedroom.
There you go.
Yeah, so TNA Plus is $9.99 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I don't need, how about you slash that first 9 off there?
Well, you want for 99 cents?
Well, look, here's the thing. The value proposition is what I'm talking about here versus
Let me ask you,
other
hold on.
services.
Does that $9.99 include their pay-per-views?
Okay, it says includes all exclusive live specials. They really need to clarify that a live special is the same thing as a pay-per-view.
Unless they classify their B-level pay-per-views as live specials, and Slammiversary and Bound for Glory are, their major pay-per-views, and so you have to pay extra for those.
Yeah. So Under Siege, let me see. Under Siege 2025. Is that
the next one?
Friday, May 23rd. That already happened. Okay, let's see here. Was that a pay-per-view? Because that's available here.
Okay.
But then I don't know if it was available live. Best of Tessa Blanchard. They have a whole playlist. Best of Tessa Blanchard. NXT and TNA. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I know you get the whole back catalog and everything, but this is for major TNA fans. They really should bring back the YouTube membership.
That was what, $5?
Dude, it was $1.
Yeah.
It was $1. Even $5, but $10, man.
They should do a thing where, if you just want to watch the weekly TV,
that's all I want.
Lower price, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Dynamite. Show was bookended by segments of the respective Owen tournament winners. Hangman Page opened the show with a really heartfelt promo. Again, talking about his journey over the last 2 or 3 years. And he says, what matters is not the win or loss. It's what you decide to do with it that matters. And he talks about the match with Ospreay. And he says he knows that the victory at Double or Nothing was fleeting. And so he says, because next year we're going to have another tournament. I'm not defending this title. I'm not going to carry this title because next year's another tournament. New winner, new Owen tournament champion. So he says, for now, I will return this for you. And he gives the title to Shivani in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody, I mean, it's a weird thing. Like, I feel like they should just do the cup. I love a good title, and the title looks beautiful. Yeah. I love the title.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of makes sense. Nobody really, do you think Mercedes might carry that thing
that's
around.
kind of her thing, yeah.
It's her thing,
yeah. She might carry the title.
Yeah.
So then he continues, he says, for the last 7 months, the AEW championship's been hidden from the world, locked in a briefcase. Says, to me, that title was to be a shining light to show the world what these letters meant is about competition, creativity, compassion, passion, and the human dignity with which we all treat each other. It says, on my first day here in AEW, I told you all that while I was here, you would be my boss. So tonight I'll make you a promise. In 7 weeks here in Texas, I will win the AEW World title. I will free it from that briefcase. I will carry it and defend it with every ounce of my being, and that is a promise that I will keep. So Swerve's music hits. Here comes the ring. And he throws to video of the Young Bucks after they came back. On the following Dynamite, I believe, after they cost Swerve his title match against Moxley, saying, oh, we did it for Hangman.
And he accuses Hangman. He says, collusion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, conveniently now you find yourself in a position to get the world title. And I'm thinking to myself, he won a whole tournament.
Yeah, without the help of the Young Bucks.
There was collusion, no way, Swerve. Yeah. We all watch TV. We all watch Dynamite. You should too. And in fact, Paige says, well, dumbass. He says, a dynasty, I locked my eyes on you. Then I locked my eyes on Mox. And for 1 second, I even thought about helping you. He says, Swerve, if I wanted to cost you that match, I would have done it myself to your face because I've done it before. And then Swerve says, all right, sounds good, but you're still full of shit. So they start arguing. That brings out the Peacemaker, Will Ospreay, not John Cena, Will Ospreay. So he shows up and he's like, Swerve, you've been like a big brother to me. I hate getting involved in your business, but you're wrong about this guy. After the match on Sunday, he had an opportunity to just walk away from me, but he came back and he shook my hand, looked me in the eye like a man. He says, we need to help him. We need to work together.
Well, it's not just that. It's like literally Ospreay says, you thought it was you, Swerve. It's not. I thought it was me. It's not.
And it's not.
It's him. It's him. Hangman.
That was such a great line. This was a really great segment, by the way.
It really was.
Because they're putting together the Avengers of AEW, Larson. And so, of course, it devolves into Swerve yelling at Ospreay. He throws the mic out of his hand.
Oh, he smacks it out of his hand, yeah.
And he says, I'm not working with that guy. Never ask me to work with him. So they yell back and forth, but Swerve leaves. And then he turns around to Hangman, and Hangman in a much more sort of mellow way, but still intense, says the same thing.
It's like, nope, never working with him.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Which means it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. They got 7 weeks.
They got 7 weeks. 7 weeks to tell stories. And I don't know. I'd be kind of shocked if everybody's on the same page heading into this thing and he still lose. I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna beat Mox, dude.
It's a good chance of it. It's a good chance. But yeah, when Ospreay, said, "Hey, this might be our only chance to take down Mox, but we have to do it together." Yeah, it was really well done.
Do you see any what's the? Because you can see it. I mean, I can. Hangman losing and. I don't know. What's the story from there if Hangman loses?
If Hangman loses, it's because they didn't all get on the same page. If they all get on the same page, it kind of feels like he has to win.
And if they don't get all on the same page, this is the one thing. The story is they got to get on the same page. The journey is they got to make us believe that they're not going to get on the same page. But the payoff is they got to get on the same page, right?
But to make the Paige and Swerve have to obviously address and work out the issues between them. And at the end, it seems like, oh, they've reached an impasse. There's no way they can work together until the moment Swerve comes down towards the end of the main event, and he has to make that decision and decides to help out Paige rather than cost of the match.
I'm trying to make the case for the possible story of him making the other decision. Just more feud between the two guys. This is the biggest thing they could possibly tell, is getting that title off of Mox. That's why I think Hangman has to win this thing. It's just for the story. I don't know where else really they can go with this if that's not the thing. Because I think there's a lot of story to be told with him winning and having the title, and these two guys then seeing the possibilities of, well, now I can get a shot against Hangman.
Exactly.
And all the stories of Swerve trying to get that title off Hangman. Then it becomes pretty, I mean, I'm not trying to say that anybody's copying anything. It's wrestling. These are stories. But Cody, after he won against Roman, became like, okay, well, all these people just helped me. And where are they going to end up now that I'm champion? And what stories can be told from there? It just opened up a lot more stories that could be told.
Yeah.
As opposed to the only other option, which is Darby comes back from Everest and beats Mox, which there's kind of no story there. So, I don't know. AEW's been doing a decent job telling stories lately, and that's why I think this just makes sense for Hangman to win.
It does.
But the journey should be pretty interesting.
It should be. It should be. At the end of the show, we had a face-to-face between Mercedes and Toni Storm. So Mercedes, earlier in the show, arrives to the arena in El Paso in a lowrider. She's got all her titles. So she gets out, enters the arena. So for the face-to-face, Mercedes comes to the ring first. She says, El Paso, I now stand before you not only as the greatest TBS and Rev Pro champ of all time, but the greatest Owen Hart tournament winner. She says, legends like Owen and my hero, Eddie Guerrero, they don't even compare to the greatness of Mercedes Moné, and that's why I call myself the CEO of AEW. So she is interrupted by Toni. So Toni comes to the ring and lays the title on the mat between them. And Mercedes says, we finally meet, but I know these AEW fans are so sick of the black and white and want a champion full of color. And Toni says, hello, Mercedes. I've waited so long for you. 441 days ago, you arrived in AEW on a show named after you, and since then you've won titles. You've made history. You've remained undefeated, but you've never once spoken to me or looked at me. You said that you've been watching me since you came here. You told Anthony Khan that this is the one match that you wanted to have. So, darling, what took you so long? And Mercedes says, patience. You see, this isn't about you. It's about my legacy. You think I'm going to go shake anybody's hand backstage? I'm the Beyonce of pro wrestling. Toni, do you not know who I am? I'm the standard of the blueprint. I am the revolution. And Toni says, well, I'm the Toni Storm of pro wrestling, and I swear to an unknown God that you have never met anyone like me. And Mercedes says, you're right. The shy, nervous Toni Storm I met 10 years ago, you're very different, but I'm different too. I'm not a boss anymore. I'm a CEO, and I've beaten the best all over the world, and all in, we're going to have the greatest women's match of all time. Toni says, we have some similarities. We both started young, struggled on the independents. We found success. We're given trophies, given flowers. But when that wasn't enough, we followed our hearts, and AEW became exactly who we were meant to be. But there's just one glaring difference. While you want all the titles, I need only one. I have lived for this, talking about the women's title. I have cried for this, I have bled for this, and I have died for this. So if you want to ride the Monet train through the Toni tunnel, I just hope you can get deep enough. And Mercedes says, Toni, not even your hips are wide enough for the Monet train. And Toni says, 45 days from now, we'll meet again in Texas, and somewhere in the world, a girl with big dreams will be watching, and she will say, holy shit, these bitches are crazy. And then she'll find out who the better woman is. See, Mercedes, I sincerely believe that you are the greatest of all time, but unfortunately for you, I happen to be timeless. And Mercedes says, Toni, you may call yourself timeless, but what you deserve is for your time to come to an end. I'll see it all in. And Toni says, I'll see it all in. Mercedes offers her hand. Toni shakes it and pulls Monet in and then sniffs her. And then kisses her hand. Mercedes looks for a Monet maker. And then Toni escapes, look for a Storm Zero, but Mercedes escapes that and slides out of the ring.
Yeah, and that was the main event segment. I thought it was a really, really good one. Mm-hmm. The contrast between the characters all laid out.
Yep.
And, of course, the vulgarities and the sexual innuendo. Hilarious shit. Really good stuff. So, does anything about this promo inform who you think is going to win this match?
No, not really. I mean, we still have 7 weeks to build. I'm assuming this isn't the one and only time they're going to meet in advance of All In.
Sure.
So, do you remember how long of a contract Mercedes' deal is with AEW?
No, I don't. I want to say, so given that everybody was so surprised that Mariah May's was 2 years,
Yeah. I
I would assume it might be 3. But like,
don't remember.
she says 441 days ago. It's not going to be.
No. I know. That just crossed my mind yesterday while watching.
It wouldn't shock me if it was 2 years. I think I looked this up before, and it was not really clear. It was like a multi-year contract.
Yeah, that's generally what. Mm-hmm. Oh wait,
So
here we go.
my guess would be 2, but maybe it's 3.
What does this say? No, just multi-year. All right.
Yeah. We also had the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd, who is the hired mercenary from New Japan. So
Yeah, that was repeated several times by
not
Excalibur.
technically a member of the Death Riders,
No.
but he's on the payroll. They do, and they open up with an Anarchy in the Arena recap. Death Riders pull up. Actually, no, sorry, Death Riders. This is after the Hangman thing. Death Riders pull up to the venue with Gabe Kidd. Mox gets out of the truck, says, "Welcome to Dynamite,"
And almost walks into a wall. Yeah.
There is a bizarrely placed wall there, and Mox doesn't see it.
No.
He's talking to the camera. He's like talking to the camera here, walking over here, and then he notices he's just walking right into a wall, and he does this big, like, dramatic turn, like he meant to do it.
Well, didn't he turn first to the left and then turned around to go in through the door to get into the arena, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was hilarious, man. I watched that a couple of times. I even recorded and sent it to you.
Yeah.
because it was so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So yeah. Anyways, so they have a big match against Willow. So it's Mox, Gabe Kidd, and Marina Shafir taking on Willow, Speedball Bailey, and Mark Briscoe. Pretty lengthy match here.
It's a fun match.
Yeah, it was fun. So the finish saw their driver Claudio distracting Mark Briscoe as he looks for a J Driller. Commander shows up, takes out Claudio with a rope walk dive off the top. Mox tags in, looks for a sleeper. Mark escapes, rolls Mox up for 2. Mox hits Paradigm Shift, locks on the Bulldog Choke again, and Mark Briscoe passes out to get the win for the Death Riders.
Yep. Another good match. Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole Bebe for that TNT title. This match was cooking.
This is a really good match. I'm going to go to this well again.
Oh, I know where you're going to.
Kyle Fletcher's so big.
Yeah.
And he's so fast and he's so young and he's so good that, like, it's getting to the point.
You don't think he should ever lose, do you?
Against certain. Look, I love Adam Cole. I love Chugs. He's like the nicest guy I've ever met in the world of wrestling. Nicest guy. But man, some of the shit just doesn't look believable. It's like my new thing for 2025.
It really is.
There can't be too much of a disparity between the opponents that it's just like unrealistic.
You
like,
never watched early UFC, did you?
Did you ever see the one where that guy got his face clean torn off?
Never happened.
But you and I both heard about it. How is
Yeah, we
that
both-
possible if it didn't happen?
Didn't happen.
That's one of those what do you call it? Urban legends about
Yeah.
early UFC that a guy that me and Larson both heard about, separate from each other,
Yeah.
that somebody got his face clean
Like with a bunch of
torn
elbows,
clean
yeah,
off.
and his face got ripped off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Never happened.
but
I don't
never
think
happened.
No, never happened. But you watch
Yeah,
like Hoist
dude, I
Gracie,
don't-
who is, I don't know, he's a
Man,
small
okay,
dude.
no,
beating everybody.
Dude, the difference is, well, the big difference is that shit's real. But
Yeah.
the other difference is the dudes that Hoist Gracie was taking down, they were like, I don't know, they were either giant muscle jocks who couldn't barely fucking move without, like, muscle falling off meat or bone rather, or they were like big fat dudes. Yeah.
Didn't he beat Dan Severn?
No, did he? That'd be wild if he did.
I thought he did.
Did he beat Dan Severn?
Yeah, he did.
Wow. Okay. Yep. Pretty shocked about that one. In any event, I don't know, man. I look at these dudes and I'm just like, I don't know. I think just because it's coming off of Lashley and Shelton Benjamin taking 12 minutes to dispatch of Goldust.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. Dustin Rhodes. Sorry, I
Dustin
shouldn't say
Rhodes,
Goldust. That's fucked up. And Sammy Guevara. Put respect on their names. I get it.
Yeah.
But
Still should have been a competitive tag match. No, I understand. There's something to be said for technique as well as physical talents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the point I'm getting at, is good technique can even the playing field.
I know, but we've seen so much of Fletcher's technique.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's not just a big dude.
No, I know.
He's big and really good.
Yeah, he is really good. He's super quick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, let me ask you this. So this match ended in a DQ because Adam Cole had Fletcher down potentially for a boom, and Josh Alexander comes in, intercepts said boom, and then there's a big wonk finish, the DQ. Is Fletcher going to win this title off Adam Cole?
No, I think this is more an avenue by which to explore tension in the Callis family, because we had a promo backstage where Fletcher's going on that I didn't need anybody's help to beat Adam Cole. Mm-hmm. So it seems like there's some anger for Josh Alexander getting involved. He says, I should be TNT champ right now, but then Cole rushes in and attacks Fletcher. So either it's a situation where Don Callis and the family is insistent on getting involved in his matches and keeps them from winning, which seems more likely, or Kyle Fletcher says, to hell with all you guys. I'm going to go out there and win it myself. Probably still losing.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, because here's the thing, I don't watch Collision all that much. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, they really like Fletcher, but they also really like Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I know. I'm gonna get shit for that one. It's bizarre. Like we got shit for that in the Friendo Club comments.
For what?
Saying the stuff about Lashley, the Hurt Syndicate, and Sons of Texas.
Oh, that shouldn't have been a competitive match?
Yeah, they were like, Lashley and Shelton are old too. I'm like, they look 10 years younger than they are, A. B, they're still incredibly they're like the two most physically imposing guys on the roster. And you look at Goldust.
Dustin Rhodes, come on, Dustin Rhodes.
Sorry, dude, I don't know why I keep on saying it. I honestly am not saying it.
That's the major difference. Again,
I like Dustin.
Dustin, legend in the business.
Yes.
He moves like someone that's there of that age, you know? Lashley,
come on, give us a better metaphor, Larson. I know you got a good one.
No, I mean, like he's taken a lot of bumps in his life.
Yeah.
He doesn't move as well as he used to. Lashley still moves like he did in 2006.
Look, if I was in his shape and looked as good as he does at the age of 70 or whatever he is,
I'd be happy.
So happy.
Yeah.
If I looked like that now, I'd be so happy. But if I looked like that now at the age of 46, I ain't getting in the ring with Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin.
Because the expectation is you'd be torn in half.
I would be turned to dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
One spear and I just explode.
Yeah. Yep. Just, yeah. They're doing this 4-hour, 2-part edition of Dynamite Collision next week. So it is 4 hours for Fyter Fest. It's Dynamite Collision back-to-back. Oh. And part of that is there's a 4-way match for Kenny's international title. It's a lot. So the first match to determine who's in that 4-way was last night. Brody King taking on Josh Alexander. This is another really good match.
It's going to be a 4-hour block?
Yeah. Don't worry, we're just watching Dynamite. We don't watch.
They're gonna do so. No, that's the problem. Is that
they're gonna make it one? Just they really should have done this like 2 weeks from now, so it's like a little mini pay-per-view in between Double or Nothing and All In.
Whatever. Right? I do think it's fun. They're forcing us to watch Collision.
Seemingly, they got us.
It's all good. Oh, what I'm complaining about watching 4 hours of wrestling. It's all good.
So, anyways, Brody gets the win here. Josh Alexander gets busted open. bleeding a ton. There's a lot of blood on this episode.
Yeah, there was.
Seemingly inadvertent blood. So then Alexander's looking for a moonsault. Brody gets his knees up, hits a huge lariat, and the Gonzo bomb to get the win. He will be competing for the international title on 4 hours of AEW television next week.
Gonzo bomb. That move is fucking brutal, man.
Yeah. We get a promo from the Hurt Syndicate talking about winning at Double or Nothing. MVP says Sunday was a historical occasion. Not only was it their fifth successful defense of the tag titles, it was MJF's official debut as a member of the Hurt Syndicate. And MJF says the tag titles aren't going anywhere. They're going to make sure that we're all draped in gold, and the Triple B will soon be around my waist. He says if you get in the way of our goals, don't be surprised you're left in the pool of your own piss and blood. But hey, it's not personal. It's just business.
Yeah, this was good. This was really good. I hope MJF stays with the Hurt Syndicate for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool if they did back his play? He won it off of Hangman Page after Hangman beats Mox for it.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool. And then you can maybe revisit if Hangman and Swerve and Ospreay are still kind of cool. Like you can revisit Swerve and Lashley because they never really picked that back up.
No.
There's a lot of cool things you could do with MJF and Hurt Syndicate as opposed to, well, let's just sort of fast forward to him getting jumped out of Hurt Syndicate or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit they can do.
There is.
What if things are going swimmingly in Hurt Syndicate and then they bring in Cedric and MJF, gives the thumbs up, but then kind of regrets it because Cedric is kind of the wild card?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Like the chemistry's really good and then he comes in and sort of interrupts it. That'd be kind of neat.
That would be good. Tekla debuted in AEW.
I always thought it was pronounced Thekla.
I did too, but that's how Excalibur says it.
Yeah, he immediately went into his Wikipedia voice. Oh, there's Tekla. Last time we saw her, she was in Stardom, and she got fired for cause because she was... Okay, dude, just relax. Let the moment breathe, please.
So Renee's in the ring for an interview with Jamie Hayter. So Renee's asking her what's next. And as Jamie's about to answer, lights go down, they come up. Tekla debuts, drops Jamie, and then steps over her and then does the backbend thing. Right into the camera, though.
Yeah, right into the camera. It was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That lady's got tons of charisma, man.
Oh, yeah.
Tons.
We got a Ricochet promo. He wants his own faction. He says, I see the lay of the land. You got the Death Riders, the Ops, Callis family, Hurt Syndicate. He's like, I need myself a crew. Yes, Steve.
Did you know, Larson, there's actually a tag team in AEW called The Crew.
Say what?
They didn't know that, did you?
Wow, mind blown. That seems an obvious connection then. Why doesn't he invite the Crew to be his crew?
This guy said crew like 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be his faction.
Looks like he's going to have his faction called The... You think... So wait. They're going to be his faction. Is he going to name the faction The Crew? But they're already called The Crew.
Yeah, no, it has to be something more specific to Ricochet.
The New Crew. Or he just gets out of watching that Oppenheimer movie. He's like the Nuke Crew. The Nude Crew. Oh. Nobody's paying attention right now. We're deep into the AEW.
Yeah, I know we are.
It's all good. It's all good.
Another really good match. We had a no DQ tag match. Saw Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne take on Anna Jay and Harley Cameron. This match was rough in terms of the physicality.
No shit. Yeah, this is brutal.
So at one point, Harley and Anna put Megan through a table ringside because Harley's trying to hit the sunset flip powerbomb to the floor. And Megan keeps blocking, so Anna comes over and swings a chair at Megan. So to block the chair shot, she has to put her hands up, which allows Harley hit the sunset flip powerbomb. But pretty quickly, Megan gets up and then dumps Harley face first on the ring steps. And like immediately, doctors come over to check on her. And when she kind of stands up, bleeding a ton out of her nose, and she's pushing the doctors away because she wants to get back in the match.
Yeah, that was rough.
So then Anna hits Penelope Ford with a gory bomb on the chair, a chair. Megan breaks up that pin, then hits Anna with an F5 on the chair. That Anna gets some cuts on her nose from that because she landed face first right on that chair.
Yeah.
Harley breaks up that pin. And so Megan drops Harley with a flying clothesline, covers, Harley kicks out, and then Ford and Bane hit Harley with a Doomsday device to get the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then, like, Anna was getting tended to by trainers, too. So this was physical.
It was a lot of fun. Harley's great.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah. And then finally, the Ops were in action defending the Trios title, given that there's like not a lot of trios out there.
I'd seen the Frat House shirt on AEW's shop.
Same, yeah.
I had no idea what the Frat House was. Now I know.
Yeah.
So it's it's Jack Jameson.
Uh-huh.
Now he's Jacked Jameson.
Now he's Jacked Jameson.
And then we get Preston Vance.
Preston Vance.
Cole Carter.
Yeah. What was his name? Two Dimes.
Yeah, 2 Dimes in NXT, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, gosh, who's the third? Oh,
Griff Garrison.
Griff Garrison.
Yeah.
And it's super obnoxious. It's a super obnoxious gimmick.
Yeah. I thought they were going to do big things with Preston Vance.
I did too.
But this is not it.
No. This seems like a very low ceiling type gimmick.
So here's the wild thing. Preston Vance is 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solid 13 years after he should be in an actual fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Carter is 24.
Mm.
So, if you're sticking around college a little bit later.
I suppose, yeah.
I guess, let's see, if you graduate when you're 22 and then maybe do more education, you stick around.
Post-grad stuff, yeah.
Jack Jameson is 52. Which is wild that he's in the fraternity. No, he's 35, but he might as well be 52 at that point.
Yeah. What about Griff?
Griff Garrison is a spry 27 years old.
Wow.
Really should have gotten his life started by now, but instead he's in a frat house.
Yeah.
So is this a crew of guys who were once in fraternities and they missed those days? They can't get past it. They're like, our social situation now that we're adulting really kind of sucks. The dating world out there really sucks, even for jack dudes like us, low on charisma. But let's band together and relive the party days of a fraternity.
Maybe. I don't know. Are they in Ring of Honor? On Collision?
You're asking me about 2 shows I do not watch. I'm assuming the answer is yes to at least one of those, Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I don't think they just wheel him out for Dynamite job matches.
Yeah, because I've never seen it before. So
was this
they
their
lost
debut?
Pretty quickly. Lost pretty quickly. Hobbs was hitting spine busters on everybody, and hit the final one on Cole Carter to get the win, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So man. I don't know. Maybe they're going to be one of those. Oh, it's ironic. They're funny and shit factions, but if that's the case, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, nor have I.
Yeah, but maybe they're wildly hilarious on Ring of Honor or something,
Yeah,
they have a frat house, perhaps, like an actual physical frat house. Maybe
they have a talk show segment.
Oh, that could be. In the frat house.
Could be.
Bunch of beer cans everywhere. I don't know. I went to one frat party when I was in college. It was actually pretty impressive. It was like a big, giant house, and there's tons of people there.
I don't know if I ever went to a frat party.
Yeah, I went to one. And it was like, I don't know, this is a bit too much. Like if I was in a frat, I'd be like, there's just too many. Now I got to do stuff. I'm really anti-doing stuff, even back in college.
You want to answer some questions?
Yeah, sure. I actually put up some question threads this week.
Yeah.
Look at me ahead of the game.
Sebastian Garcia asked, what is the first 5-star match you've ever seen?
Chronologically?
I guess so. What's the first match you remember watching and be like, that's a 5-star match?
Oh, I don't know. Probably one of those Public Enemy matches in ECW. Those matches were so much fun, dude. Because it'd always be like the crowd. I have never seen crowds more hype for those Public Enemy matches.
Yeah.
Because they'd be so into it and they'd have like 5 false finishes and then like, be hitting everybody with chairs and just Extreme Rules, anything goes.
Yeah.
Then you get like 5 refs and it's like, whoa. And then, holy shit, those were crazy ass matches. Yeah. So a Public Enemy match probably.
All right. Fair enough.
Isn't it? Those are the dudes who are in ECW, right? Public Enemy?
Yeah,
There's like a couple of those kind of. I always get those guys. So there's Public Enemy.
You get them confused with Nasty Boys?
Kind of, yeah. But then I think the Nasty Boys, those are just Hogan's dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Was there another dude, because Public Enemy wore hockey jerseys, right? Who wore the hockey jerseys? Yeah, it was Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Public Enemy versus Pitbulls. I don't know.
There you go. Hey, good reference there.
Who could forget Pitbull 1 and 2, the Pitbulls? What was your first 5-star match? Try to match my answer. Bring that kind of heat.
I'm trying to think of. I'll say this. It's the match I swear is the first match I ever saw on WTV, even though I don't know if it actually ever happened.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But it sounds like it'd be pretty good. It'd be the Killer Bees versus the British Bulldogs. 5 stars. Because that's what got me into wrestling.
That had to have been 5 stars to get you into wrestling.
Exactly.
Probably,
Anything less
honestly,
wouldn't have done it.
Okay, now that I think about it, probably Eddie versus Ray Halloween Havoc 97.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. There you go with a serious answer. Matt Linder here says, does anyone besides Rhea and Seth have a shot at winning Money in the Bank? It almost seems like a foregone conclusion that they win.
Seth, well, I like the way you put it on the Raw recap. Seth might be so obvious that it doesn't happen. But it also seems very obvious.
Yeah, it does seem obvious. I don't know about Rhea winning being so obvious. If Naomi wins her qualifier on Friday, then
Naomi's got Money in the Bank written all over her.
Yep.
Just makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense.
But it's also not super obvious because Rhea's kind of obvious. You know what I mean? Like Rhea seems like she should win it, but I feel like there's a better story for her if she doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's a much better story for Naomi to win it.
Yep.
Plus, on top of that, I'd have to make a decision because if they do a custom Naomi caution tape Money in the Bank briefcase, might have to get it.
How about this one, Steve? Luis asks, can you power rank the planets, Pluto included?
Yeah, well, Pluto's like a fakey planet, so that'd be last.
Yeah, sometimes it's a planet, sometimes it's not. I think right now it's not, right?
I don't think it's a planet now. So it's last.
The whole time growing up, it was a planet.
Yeah, what's it called? It's like not a protoplanet. It's
but something
like
along those
early
lines.
Planet,
Yeah.
fake pseudo planet, whatever it is. But there's apparently a lot of those versions. Like I forget what it's like. It's not a microplanet. Something that's like not as
like,
good.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of those. There's like 15 of those things.
Yeah.
So like Pluto's just some dude.
And then the further you get out, there's more of them.
I mean, okay. Number 1 obviously is Earth. Because come on. It's got life and shit on it. It's crazy. There's all sorts of shit going on here.
Yeah.
So number 1 is Earth,
Mars has to be too, right? There's such mythology about Mars.
Mars might have been kind of Earth-like back in the day. So Mars probably number 2. Number 3, you got to give it to Jupiter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so big. It's got those rings on it. And it's got a bunch of moons. I'm sorry, that's Saturn. It's got those moons that might have some life on it.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of rings, then you got to have Saturn at 4.
You got to put Saturn in number 4. Yeah, absolutely. It's got the rings.
Yeah.
I think it has its own crazy moon system, like ton of moons.
Both Jupiter and Saturn got a ton of moons.
Yeah. So that's there. So we're at 4, and we've got 5 altogether, so there's 4 more. I mean, number 8, I guess it would be, just above Pluto, would be Uranus. The name alone.
I don't know. I feel like the name like Uranus, it should be much higher than 8. Mercury should be 8. It's basically just a rock that's getting
just incinerated. It's
half of it is because half it's facing the sun. The other half isn't.
Yeah, it's what you're saying. It's kind of like the Dustin Rhodes. It's like super old.
If you want to put it that way,
getting incinerated by the sun, which in this case would be, I guess, a Hurt syndicate. I don't know. Like a very physically imposing body.
Yeah.
The sun.
I also feel like Venus should be pretty low because it's really hot. It's the hottest planet in the solar system.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere is all methane, I think.
Okay, so I'll be honest with
ammonia.
The name Venus is really cool, though.
It is a great name.
So I'd actually inched that a little bit further up. I'm going to say your anus is at number 8. Pluto 9, because there's 9, right?
Yeah, 9.
Pluto's 9. Uranus is 8 because no respect there. And it's freezing fucking cold. I'd rather be warm than cold.
See, there's warm, and then there's like you couldn't survive on Venus.
No.
It's like 200-something degrees on the surface.
Listen, this is the definitive one. Pluto, Uranus.
No, Uranus has to be much higher. It's Pluto, it's Mercury.
Fine, we're not going to see eye to eye on this, dude.
It's Neptune, it's Venus, it's Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter.
Uranus? Is that high?
Yeah.
Stop calling it Uranus. Only nerds do that. It's Uranus.
All right, Uranus.
Listen, this is definitive. Pluto, Uranus.
No, not definitive.
Then I'll give you
Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah.
Then is Neptune.
All right.
It's just cold.
It's like a nice shade of blue, though, isn't it?
It is a nice shade of blue. You know, Pluto's got a cool looking heart thing on it, too.
Yeah.
So maybe Uranus is last. Uranus is
come
last.
on.
No respect.
How dare you?
Look, man, I've seen enough anuses in my time. It's disgusting. So Uranus is last. That lovely heart on Pluto bumps it up to number 8. Then you got Mercury, because it's hot. It sucks. Then you got Neptune. And then you got probably Venus.
Yeah.
Because Venus might have been kind of Earth-like at some point.
Maybe.
And then you got the other ones I mentioned.
You got Uranus way too low. The Scots here says, I was listening to Bleach earlier and thought that Blue would make a good wrestler entrance theme. What other grunge songs would be good to walk out to?
So, similar to that, Jesse Helsius says, which Nirvana song would make a great entrance track for a wrestler? So I went through their entire, catalog to see what would probably work best. And like so many of them actually work better as ECW montage videos.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of them, they don't start off like, oh shit, this is cool. Breed, I think, would make a really fun theme.
Yeah.
But also Come As You Are as a very menacing one would be really good.
I'm going to do a deep cut.
Yeah, please
It's
do.
from a split single with the Jesus Lizard. It's called Oh the Guilt.
Oh, okay. How does it? Okay, let me look this up here real quick.
There you go.
I'm not going to have it on the thing. It has to start off big time. Oh, the Guilt.
Yeah.
Probably
It's a good one.
They need to freaking fix their thing here. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh, this is an interesting question from Chris Stanton. It says, which faction this generation would you say has created more stars, the Bloodline or the Judgment Day? Steve's still listening.
Yeah, that could work. What now?
Chris Stanton asked, what faction this generation has created more stars, Bloodline or Judgment Day? So in Judgment Day, you'd have Rhea, Dom,
Yeah.
Damian Priest, Bloodline. Jay Uso. Roman was already a superstar before Bloodline, but elevated.
I would say Sammy got elevated to another level with that.
Yeah.
Roman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roman,
point,
Jay,
now Jacob.
Sammy, Jacob. I'd say even Solo's doing really good work these days.
I think the answer is Bloodline. Has to be
Probably Bloodline. Yeah, probably Bloodline. Yeah. Let's see here. Avery says, do you think it's possible we have some variety in the Money in the Bank winners this year instead of men's winner coming from Raw and women's winner coming from SmackDown like the last 2 years? If it's Seth and Rhea, then it's possible. If it's Seth and Naomi, then no. I don't know if they even think about that.
Yeah, I don't think they think.
I don't really think they do.
Whatever they think the best story is going to be.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they think about that.
Linus Moses here asks, how do you manage wrestling fatigue? You guys do an amazing job of bringing us great content each week, but I know that for me, after an intense PLE or pay-per-view cycle like Mania Week, I don't feel as motivated to watch wrestling. How do you manage it? And I appreciate this as the job.
So, realistically, I look at my bank account. I'm not even fucking lying. I'm like, okay, we got through April. We know that, and this is just a business standpoint. April's a huge month.
Yeah.
I don't like there to be a big drop off. And so I'm like, I know that interest is going to be down. Numbers are going to be down. Is there anything we can do to try to maintain some momentum? Is there anything we can do? And so it does give me motivation to try to continue to find ideas to pump out content, whether it's here, WrestleJuice, whatever. Like we have our quota that we need to fulfill here at Going in Raw, because this is where, the ads run, or, we have a whole management team, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'll be honest. Like it's just in me that this is my job. I don't need anything. I don't need any more motivation than that. Like, do I get wrestling fatigue sometimes? Sure. But I'll be honest, that doesn't really have much to do with like, oh, it's WrestleMania. It's whatever. That just happens randomly to me. Sometimes I'm like, God damn, I got to sit through this NXT right now.
I mean, there's a reason. I don't know. Did you watch Battleground at all?
No,
I haven't either. There was just too much. I feel like there was too much this past weekend. And, I wasn't sure if we were going to do it. If we were going to talk about it all. Obviously, we weren't going to do a full-fledged review for it. Like, there's stuff that we do because either A, we really want to, or we know we have to do. There's stuff we have to cover.
I think, isn't there so much stuff now, though, that like... Okay, to your point, I'll say this. I'm really looking forward to Worlds Collide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much we're going to cover it, if we need to, if we will. If people care about, I'm sure there's always going to be some people who care about what we think about it. But like from a business standpoint, does it make sense for us to spend time reviewing it? I don't really care about that. I'm looking forward to the show.
Yeah. And obviously those instances happen too.
They're kind of rare though. Most of the stuff, like we just
do it.
We know what's to cover. But
yeah.
The Battleground thing is kind of more of a bandwidth thing as opposed to a fatigue thing.
Well, I think it's a thing too that if we try to find the bandwidth to do it, it might lead to fatigue because we'd have to give up time outside of the purview of our job. You know?
I can see that. Yeah.
Like last night I finished watching Dynamite and I'm like, well, do I start watching Battleground or do I watch an episode of Andor? I chose an episode of Andor,
Good move.
Because I like wrestling. I appreciate I'm thankful this is my job that I get to talk about pro wrestling for a living. But I think there still needs to be some balance. Like not everything has to be wrestling.
Realistically, if I'm going to look, dude, we ain't got scoops. We've got our analysis and we try to be entertaining with our analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And our chemistry goes a long way because we've known each other for like a long time.
Yeah, 30 years.
But at the same time, like, I can't get burnt out because if I'm burnt out, I'm not going to be very interesting to listen to.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we need that. Like, I watched all of the game yesterday, the NBA game.
Yeah, I watched a chunk of it too.
And then afterwards, I popped on Dynamite. I enjoyed Dynamite quite a bit.
Yeah, Dynamite was fun.
And I was able to fast forward through commercials and whatnot. This morning, I did a bit of a speed run through NXT. So, it's a matter of managing the wrestling, but understanding that it's like, well, this is my job. This is my whole career. And I really want to keep on doing it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, sometimes the bandwidth isn't there. And if we force it, if it's like, okay, we've got 8 hours of wrestling to watch, well, let's maybe make it 6 hours instead. And if we don't cover Battleground, then I apologize to the people who really want us to, but some things are just going to fall through the cracks. And NXT is just probably like the least. I was kind of surprised because I talked about this a bit on WrestleJuice and I don't know, Wrestle Juice, maybe Friendo Club. I don't know. When you and I were talking about WWE counter programming AEW and how it could do damage to NXT, I know I talked about a little bit on Wrestle Juice, and you and I have talked about it here.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of comments from people who were like, they watch both, but if given the option, they're going to watch AEW.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the completionists, the people who are out there like watching everything, if given an option between NXT and AEW, they're going to choose AEW because it's sort of the brand that matters more between the two of them in the general wrestling sense.
Yeah.
They have their own titles. They're not beholden to the main roster. There you go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's not a slam on anything.
Nope.
It's just an observation.
Yeah. Die Hard Homer asks, what is the best 90s comedy movie?
90s.
It's Big Lebowski, right?
Boy, there's a lot to choose from.
There is a lot.
The best 90s comedy movie? Yeah, I mean, Lebowski is definitely, in terms of like quality, god damn, that's such a good movie.
It is.
That's so tough. That's like really, that's a lot to ask.
That is.
The 90s were chock full of really good comedies. But yeah, Lebowski's pretty great. Let's see here. Nick Kyle says, what do you think Tekla's ceiling is in AEW? It's champion.
Yeah.
Whatever championship there is.
David O'Halloran asks, are AEW storylines overall more compelling than WWE ones right now?
Wait, what's that?
Are AEW storylines overall more compelling right now than WWE ones?
I think the build to All In is really interesting because it's like you have two headlining matches where you really don't know who's going to win. So if that's the definition of compelling, if it gets you to tune in week to week, I don't know. I feel like to a degree, WWE does a better job getting me to want to tune in to Raw week to week. That's sort of like the one thing that I'm like, oh man, I'm actually really looking forward to Raw. Whereas AEW, I'm always pleasantly surprised by. It's not like I'm like, oh man, I'm dying to find out what's going to happen. It's like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah. I guess probably the single most story I'm invested in is probably the Hangman story. Of anything in wrestling that I can think of off the top of my head. And whether he's going to win it all in. Like, I feel like sometimes in WWE, they, like the Seth Heyman alliance, like, wow, this seems promising. They can do some really interesting stuff with it. But then it's just kind of the typical, hey, we're going to build a heel faction type stuff. And it seems like they're not fulfilling necessarily the potential that was there to do something really kind of interesting, or seem like there's a big seismic shift in WWE. All right, Seth's got a heel faction now.
Yeah, but Money in the Bank's right around the corner.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a pretty big story beat.
Well, Seth's going to win, and then he's going to cash in on June 9th. Like, we kind of know where that's going to go, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot of... Now, if that doesn't happen, someone else wins, and it's surprising
well,
and
I mean,
makes
dude,
sense.
just because you can map out the story beat doesn't mean it's going to not be interesting in execution.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's going to... I don't know that... I think they might try to extend Jay's title run a little bit longer. I don't know that he's going to successfully cash in on June 9th. I think he might try. But that's the thing. I don't know. That's what makes it interesting to me. So yeah, I don't know. Like if I had to like rank like what I was most interested in now, I don't know. It's just generally speaking, Raw just interests me more. I hope SmackDown's good tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, anyways, that's all the questions I have here. What do you got over there?
Oh, I got plenty over here. Let's see a good one to wrap this up. Cruz asks, which fictional city from TV or movies should host WrestleMania 42?
Cloud City, Bespin.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like the ring is just its own floating barge.
Yeah.
And if you get tossed over the top,
oh, you're just floating amongst the clouds, huh?
I think it's got gravity.
Yeah, so I guess you just sink towards the core.
I think Bespin ends up being like a gaseous
Yeah, it's
planet.
a gaseous planet, with the core, but still has air you can breathe.
Yeah, right.
Because when the Millennium Falcon lands in Empire Strikes Back, they're not inside, they're outside.
I would assume once you get to a certain depth, you just probably burn up.
Yeah,
or you compress.
Hot.
Maybe you implode.
Bespin's a good answer.
Yeah. Hoth would suck.
Yeah, it's too cold.
Too cold. Oh, dude, what are we talking about? Risa. The sex planet. The pleasure planet.
You want to have a real kind of hardcore type match? How about SETI Alpha 5?
They thought it was SETI Alpha 6. SETI Alpha 5.
If you can win, braving those elements.
Yeah, man. And then like loser gets one of them bugs in its head.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. All right, that's good. I think that was a good answer.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.